Over the weekend, I told you guys that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has leaked online. Everything is out there. Cutscenes, music, pretty much everything but the DLC characters, since the DLC characters are not included anywhere in the code base as far as anyone can tell. And it leaked actually back on Wednesday last week because Mexican retailers had copies of the game and they sold them early, and then people who bought them early leaked it online. People are now illegally playing them, pirated copies of them, in fact, on their Switches and streaming them. You only need, OS version 5.7.0 to play it illegally, even though 6.2 is the current, and I'm sure a day one patch will come out that'll make it require 6.2, but whatever is on the cartridge itself pre-patch will always be able to be played on 5.7.0. So that means that no matter what Nintendo does with 6.2 and moving forward in terms of stopping the hacking methods that are out there, it won't really matter for Smash Bros. It will matter for future games, but it just isn't going to matter for this one. And that's not too surprising. The game went gold, and at the time the game went gold, 6.2 wasn't a thing yet. It's not surprising that it works on even as old as 5.7 because that's just what happens. It's the version it was developed on. Those updates usually come later through patches. Now, that being said, this is an interesting place for Nintendo to be. They've been here before. They just were with this with Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. However, it is notable that between Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, those are two of the games leaking that probably have the least impact from the leaks. Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, when that leaked, it's a remake of Gen 1. So pretty much everything that's in the game is already known. It's not really surprising. When it comes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, while we don't know everything about, say, the classic mode, even though we should, if you ever played the classic modes in prior Smash games, and we don't know everything about the World of Light mode, the cutscenes and how that all plays out. I mean, we do now if you actually go and look for it, but it's a fighting game. So in general, leaks for fighting games aren't as big of a deal as they would be for, say, if Breath of the Wild would have leaked, or if Super Mario Odyssey would have leaked, if Fire Emblem Three Houses next year leaks. All of those will be much bigger deals leak-wise than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. Still, Nintendo's been coming down hard. They've been copyright striking, not just claiming videos, but striking channels that are live streaming the game, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, regardless if you have a legit retail copy or you're pirating. Nintendo doesn't know, so they're just going to outright ban it all. If you're uploading the 100 plus, 900 plus, whatever it is, remixed music that's in the game, that again is going to get your channel copyright striked. In fact, if you are a serious YouTuber like me and you happen to be illegally playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for whatever reason it might be, maybe you're just trying to review the game, I don't know, you better not be putting up any content because you're going to get in massive trouble and basically be kissing your channel goodbye. Copyright strikes are a massive deal, and you can get striked for every instance of it. So if you have multiple uploads of music, that could be a strike for each video, and 3 strikes, your channel's done. You can stop making revenue, you can lose your ability to live stream, and I mean, obviously the worst is that, they literally make YouTube delete your channel, essentially. So it's just, Nintendo's coming down hard, and I don't expect them to react any other way. It's, at this point, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks before launch, when it leaked, that is a problem. And that's even worse than the Let's Go leak, which was just days before. So this is leading to a more bigger conversation point, because this is the kind of thing that makes Nintendo and other publishers, mind you, that have their games leaked, really, really desire that all digital future. And not just like digital, purchasing through an eShop kind of thing, but also game streaming. Because it's much easier for Nintendo and these other companies to control their own digital shops and their own game streaming services than it is to control retailers. As an example, let's just say in the future, even for review copies of games, let's say, the IGNs of the world, the GameSpots, whatever, myself, let's say they decide they want me to review a game they have, so they send me it. Well, instead of sending me a digital code, which they do, and, people could still leak the digital copies if they put it on a hacked Switch, what would be interesting is if they make it so game reviewers can only stream the game. And while that might not give you the most ideal experience compared to playing it locally, it also would ensure that game reviewers cannot leak the game. So that would be a very interesting experience as well if that happens in the future. But that still goes to the all-digital future that I think Nintendo and these other companies really want. Not just because there's higher profit margins. I mean, they still sell these games for $60 a pop, sometimes more, through the shops, even though, it's higher profit margins and you can argue they should cut the price lower for consumers. They're not going to, because we're going to pay the prices anyways. We've been paying the prices. It's become normalized. And I don't have a problem with an all-digital future personally, but I know a lot of you do. A lot of you, I guess the biggest thing is ownership of the game, right? Technically, the ownership of your game isn't any different if you own it physically or digitally in terms of your legal rights to it. If you actually check out the TOS for the games that you're playing, you're still, even if you buy the physical version, just buying a license to play it that they can revoke at any time. The difference with physical, of course, is even if it's revoked, you can just, as an example, how they revoke it is they basically ban your account. You can just take that physical game, put it in a totally different device, and it'll be working just fine. And obviously, the big advantage of physical is if the digital eShops go down, as they are for Wii, you can no longer buy games on Wii. I don't even know if you can go re-download games on Wii that you've previously purchased. That is a problem in an all-digital future because games you buy right now digitally for Switch, say a decade from now, you might not be able to re-download them if you happen to get a new Switch or delete them or whatever the case may be. And that's a fear that I think goes a bit away with game streaming because I think game streaming services are more likely to just keep those games always readily available. But I think game streaming is a whole nother avenue of the digital spectrum that maybe we can explore on a different day and a different time. Today, I think I just want to focus on the fact that these kind of leaks are what's going to lead Nintendo to really, really, really push everyone to go digital. The bigger question, obviously, is what can Nintendo do physical-wise to ensure this doesn't happen? Why did the Mexican retailers even have access to the games, 2.5 weeks early? And that's a fair question, and there obviously is an issue somewhere in the supply chain where maybe they shouldn't have copies that early. Based on people I've talked to at GameStop and people who work at some independent game stores, they don't have their copies of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate yet. In fact, GameStop told me personally that they're not going to have extra copies of it. They're only getting enough copies to fill pre-orders. So they can still take pre-orders, but they're not getting anything extra because the demand for the game is just so high. And I wonder, for everyone that thinks this is good, I've seen a lot of people arguing that the leak is good, that this is positive, that, not just the information out there that you can avoid. It's not as hard to avoid the information as people make it out to be. I should know, I'm a YouTuber. My job is to cover this stuff, and I've avoided basically every bit of information that's come out of the leaks. And I'm telling you, as someone who's following all, zillions of people that are delivering this information, it really wasn't that hard to avoid it. But I think this is troubling for Nintendo. And this is the kind of thing where I wonder if, not now, it won't happen now, but let's say 3 years from now, the new Zelda game comes out. What if the new Zelda game only comes out exclusively digitally? Would Nintendo have the balls to do that? Because if they did, that takes care of this leak problem just like that. That takes care of pirating, at least pirating pre-release, just like that. So I worry that this kind of stuff is going to have a long-term negative consequence that's going to make an all-digital future come a lot sooner than people want it to or want it to at all. A lot of you guys probably don't want an all-digital future. And I'm okay with, I like physical games. I own physical games. I think they're great. I don't have a problem with physical. Just because I don't have a problem with going all digital doesn't mean that I think there's anything wrong with the current physical medium as it is. But this is bad. And this is one of Nintendo's strongest reactions to a game leak ever. Nintendo has gone after leakers before, and they've gone after streams, but not to this extent. This is one of the largest leaks that's happened this early before a game came out, and Nintendo is not playing around. They are doing their best to scrub it from the internet, which they won't be able to do. The internet is batting 1,000. But I'm worried, and I want to know if you guys are worried too. As excited as we can be about leaks and finding out new information and this and that, a leak like this, where it's the entire game, Are you scared? Are you worried like me that Nintendo might be looking at an all digital future? Obviously, they can look at, trying to make it so the Mexican retailers didn't have the copies as early as they did. But the problem is, what are they supposed to do? They're printing out the copies. They send them to the country. They're sitting in a warehouse Nintendo controls. How do you make sure the people there aren't sending it out early? How do you make sure that everyone along that chain is doing everything they're supposed to do? It's pretty difficult. And this is a problem that happens across all of gaming. But I just normally if a leak happens, it's because a rogue media member decided to leak the game, and Nintendo can easily trace that. But this retail leaking has been happening more and more and more, and I think Nintendo's only true way to snuff it all out is to say, hey, we're just not going to do retail copies anymore, and that scares me. That scares me big time. I guess they could still do physical just with online retailers. Where you can only buy the games online. You can no longer pick them up in stores. I guess that's another way to combat things a little bit, because maybe even if you buy it through Amazon, it can still be sent directly from Nintendo's warehouse or whatever. But, oh boy, let's just say I'm not happy that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is leaked, and that I even have to have concerns like this. And yes, I've reached out to Nintendo to comment on my concerns, and obviously they just gave a generic, we have nothing to say at this time. So I doubt we're going to see this all digital thing anytime soon. But the more and more this happens, the more and more I think Nintendo is going to start going down the, hey, let's go to the route that we control everything. Nintendo likes having control. So, that being said, I'm Nathaniel Rovagents from the Turner Prime. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. We are giving away a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch bundle. Ironically, that comes with a digital copy of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but we can't help that. We don't control how they do the bundle. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe for more content, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one.